Hello! So this is the first time I have put myself in front of the camera for an FPV video, so it feels kind of awkward, but I want to try and explain a few things about what I'm going to show you, and I would really appreciate if you could let me know in the comments if you think this is a good thing or not, and like, dislike, subscribe, and all the YouTube algorithm stuff. So the reason I'm putting myself in front of the camera is to explain the video that I'm about to start down. Which way? This way. So let's get that rolling. So I have been interested for a while this year in long range, long endurance FPV video. FPV flying, sorry. Normally I fly this. This is my 5-inch basher. It's running Crossfire, and the furthest I've flown this out is about a mile. And no, it wasn't in the UK, so the Civil Aviation Authority doesn't need to get its knickers in a twist. Yeah, and when I flew this, I was flying on Crossfire, and I was flying into a headwind, but I had a great link quality and I had great video. The only reason I turned back is because I was running out of battery. I was running a 1300 milliamp hour 4S LiPo. So it got me thinking, how can I push that further? Well, once I got back to the UK, I was offered this quad by a very good friend of mine. It's a TBS Source 1 frame with extended arms and 7-inch props. Those of you who know your stuff will know that bigger props gives you more thrust efficiency. And the video that you're watching here is the second flight I had with this. So I was thinking about how can I make it cruise for a long time, and obviously there's been a lot of talk in the FPV community this year about lithium ion batteries. There's been a lot of these sub 250 gram models that have been flying on LiPo and Li-ion and getting amazing flight time. So I decided that I wanted to have a go. And this is what I came up with. This is my lithium ion battery pack. So as you can see, it's a 6S 3500 milliamp hour. And I want to give a big shout out to a YouTuber called Whirly Bloke. He was doing pretty much the same thing that I've done. He posted a great tutorial, which I'll post a link to somewhere up here, showing how to do this. And it's his tutorial that I followed. So full credit to you, Whirly Bloke. So I've got 6 lithium ion 18650 cells in here, spot welded together with nickel, wrapped in Kapton, wrapped in neoprene, shrink wrapped. So why is this good for long range? Well, here's a 6S LiPo pack. First of all, let's just look at the size difference. Obviously, my battery pack is bigger, but not hugely so. Now look at the difference in capacity. 1400 milliamp hours versus 3500 milliamp hours. So when fully charged, this nearly has 3 times the energy stored. But it's certainly not 3 times bigger. So why isn't everyone flying lithium ion? Well, here's the difference between lithium ion and lithium polymer. And here's the science bit. And I do have a science background, so something I would maybe like to do in future videos is try and explain why and how things work, if you're interested in this. Lithium ion has got pretty good energy density, and that's like how much energy per gram or kilogram can it store. But the thing that it really excels at is it's got very little internal resistance, which means there's hardly any impediment to pumping out current. And that is great for FPV racers and freestylers because they need to have explosive acceleration to pull out of a dive or to turn a hairpin turn. And that's what these are great for. But with the energy that they can store in a reasonable size like this, it also means that battery is done in 3 minutes, give or take. So But if you're flying a long-range cruiser like this big boy, you don't need that. That's not what it's about. It's about cruising. So that's where these battery packs come in, because these have got it's much higher energy density, but the internal resistance is a lot higher, which means it can squeeze out as much current. So let's check out, compare the C rating. I'm going to assume you know what C rating means. Okay, if you don't, there's plenty of good videos out there. But the C rating on this means this can maybe get, I don't know, 150, 160 amps, maybe more at like just a really peak burst. This doesn't say whether this 120C is sustained or burst, but these kind of batteries can pump out enough current to start your car. I exaggerate not. Whereas this is, can we focus? No. 2.3C sustained, we can go up to maybe 4C. And if you look in the OSD down here, you can see I'm cruising at maybe a quarter throttle, and I'm using 12 amps, which is a little bit more than is recommended on my DIY label. But it was managing it, so you can see this was pumping out 200 watts. So yeah, I built this. I wasn't sure it was going to fly, but I've flown this with the 7-inch quad twice, and the second flight is here. And I have flown for 20 minutes. Now, it's a very different experience flying with this type of battery chemistry than LiPo. LiPo, you just blast, and it's a thrill ride, it's an adrenaline rush, and it's over in a few minutes. This, it's like getting a drink to last all night. You're just sipping away very carefully. And if you watch the OSD down here, you'll see the voltage. If you look for the cell voltage in the bottom left corner, that dips down a lot every time I push the throttle, maybe above 33%. And then I have to ease off and relax to let the battery rest and let the voltage come back up. That was how it was behaving. But the great thing is that I could keep the throttle well above the hover point and the battery would still recover. So that was a really great thing to this. Hopefully I'll remember to put in some build videos around here as we're watching this. Now, just to look at the flight footage here, we can see here I'm kind of hovering below the 8 amp mark, which is good for this battery pack. I've used about a third of the battery, somewhere between a third and a half of the battery. There's a counter at 4 minutes 10 seconds, it's saying there. It's like estimating how much time I have left to fly. It was interesting, halfway through the flight, that counter hit 0 and I was still going. So I'm going to not subject you to my face for a while and just put this up full screen and just let you enjoy the ride for a while, and I may add some comments as it goes. The video that you're seeing is high def. It's from my Runcam 3S. I recorded the DVR and I've just composited it over the high def footage. One of the problems with the area that I flew in is that there's a lot of interference, which is just killing the video. So you can see the OSD just breaking up and I'm having to turn around. And unfortunately the OSD is flashing all the time because I'm still learning how best to fly this battery, and I wasn't sure what voltage warning levels to put in beta flight. And for those who are curious, yes, this is a Betaflight 4.2. I have yet to pig tune this quad, so you may notice a little bit of wobbling in it. Every time I was pushing the throttle up on this, I was just being terrified of killing the battery. So I will have a period of relatively high throttle. I don't think I ever get above 40% throttle. Oh, there we go. That was a burst. That was a 40% burst. And then I'm just like backing off and just trying to let the battery recover because I'm just like scared of it giving out on me. You can see it's a beautiful view, but I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. So I'm coming back down to the ground because my estimated remaining time is running out, and my battery voltage had hit down to the 3-volt mark. So now we are really flying on borrowed time, if you believe the timer. Having flown it once before, I thought I was probably safe. Also being careful to stay away from people. If people are interested enough in the flight performance and characteristics of this type of battery pack, something that I can do in the future is get black box log recordings and superimpose those over the flight video so we can actually see in real time how the battery is holding up, as opposed to just trying to mentally track numbers on the screen like this. But the great thing is that I'm able to ascend while still staying below 10 amps. That is astonishing to me, but again, I think that comes to the benefit of having large propellers. it would be interesting to see how this would work on a typical 5-inch quad. It's all going to come down to your thrust to weight ratio, which is why quads like the Flywheel Explorer are excelling, because they may be smaller motors and smaller propellers, but they are tiny frames and tiny electronic stacks. The biggest weight is the battery, so it has that really great relative thrust to weight ratio, which I have with the 7-inch quad. It's just all scaled up more. But keep an eye on the throttle level. You can see how gently I'm taking things. There's some nasty wobbling in the roll axis there, so this quad definitely needs some PID tuning, so I will be embarking on some black box analysis to get that tuned properly. And you can see the kind of like the running average cell voltage is really getting down there now. We haven't really been up in the 3.2 volts for quite a while, heading down steadily to the sub 3 volt mark. There we go, we just went sub 3 volts and I'm already at 18 minutes, so I'm starting to get very worried that it's going to give out on me, so I'm just gingerly cruising around and backing off on the throttle, trying to let that voltage recover as much as possible. And also watching the milliamp hour count. It's now over 3000 and the rated capacity for this pack is 3500. Oh, and there I decided to go a little bit crazy and just see how much I could punish it. So we just had a little ascent. And now we are definitely cruising at sub 3 volts per cell. There I noticed someone coming across the field, so I made sure I was well clear of them. So here we go, we're closing in on the 20-minute mark, and I'm staying above 3 volts less and less, so I decided to come into land. But then I kind of changed my mind because I looked at the milliamp hour counter and I thought, you know what, I've done 20 minutes. If I fall out the sky now, it doesn't matter. I'm having a victory lap. So 2.6 volts, 2.5 volts a cell, blasting around at 60 kilometers an hour. And now I'm going to come into land. I wanted 20 minutes and I got 20 minutes. So there you go. Thank you very much for staying with me and watching that. I'm really excited about it. It's not the normal type of flying I like to do. I just normally like to take my 5-inch out and do all the acrobatic moves that you can watch tutorials about on YouTube. But this is a whole new realm because as long as you can get into an environment that isn't going to kill your video and your control link, it's a whole new world of exploration because you have this flight time. You know that you've got the battery pack that is going to keep you in the air. And the more you test it, which is what I'm in the phase of doing, you know how long it's going to last. You know you can depend on it. So this is a whole other realm. It's kind of especially with having the possibility of GPS rescue, it's kind of like a gray area between mini quads and drones. Because if you hadn't guessed by now, mini quads are not drones. Your DJI Mavics and Phantoms, they've got the sensors. You could take your hands off the sticks and it'll just hang out in the sky there. Mini quads, it's fly by wire, but if you take your hands off the sticks, it's going down because it needs your input. Anyway, that's a little rant for another time. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this, if you have any questions, if you think I did anything wrong, if you are doing the same thing and you want to share notes, please let me know. Please get in touch. I would love to hear about it. Thank you for watching and I will catch you next time.